What's up, guys? This is Shay.
And this is Matt.
This is the Building Small Business Podcast. Today we're here with David, the owner of State BBQ. How you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, glad to do it.
We're excited to have you here. We've had your delicious food and just now kind of getting to know you. When did Red State start?
Red State started in October of 2010, and it was started by a gentleman named Scott Allschwede, who's a horse vet, and he's a partner of Root and Riddle. So he had the business for 2 years. I actually handled some advertising for him when I worked for iHeartRadio. And I think it was about the end of 2012 when he was doing some more advertising with me. But he had called me to place the schedule. And so I stopped out to pick up a check, and this was right around the beginning of 2013. And I asked the general manager at the time, I was like, hey, how's Scott doing? And she said, oh, he's doing great. Lives in New York now. What do you mean
What?
he's in New York? It's like, oh, he's at Saratoga. You know, he's a horse vet, right?
Yeah.
So he's at Saratoga, and I said, oh, yeah, well, good to hear. And she said, yeah, he's thinking about selling the restaurant. And, of course, that was the lean-in moment, right? So you heard about the lean-in moment. I was like, really? You know? And so the next thing you know, the next day I'm driving down the road, and he sends me a text. He's like, hey, give me a call. I want to talk to you about something. And so I called him. And he said, yeah, I don't know if you heard, but I'm thinking about selling the restaurant. I was like, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah. I was like, would you be interested? I think I would. I'd like to see some numbers and stuff. And so he sent me numbers. And, of course, you know, I've got a lot of restaurant friends. I had restaurant friends before. And so I sent that stuff around. And the next thing you know, April 1st of 2013, I officially became the owner of Red State BBQ.
So was owning a barbecue restaurant ever in the plans for you?
Being a business owner was always something that I'd wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had started off, you know, my life, you know, in terms of my work life, really officially started, you know, when I was about 15 years old. You know, before then I was mowing lawns and walking the neighborhoods back here behind us, hitting up old ladies to mow their lawns.
Right.
But then I got a job over at the Saratoga, which, you know, it's been a few different things over the years. But it's been Buddies and, you know, there's a wine bar recently. I think now the realty company's over there. But that was the Saratoga, and I was a dishwasher in a room about the size of a shoebox. And so that's where my restaurant career began. And so I always had a love for the business. And, you know, just one thing led to another and just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And so that's how I ended up with Red State.
That's awesome.
That's crazy, man. So 2013, right?
Yeah.
2013, you bought it, and then I'm sure it took some time to figure out the business. Did you already make barbecue at that point, like on your own, or did you had to learn like?
I was a backyard barbecuer.
Okay.
You know, so I did have some experience. Of course, I had cooking experience too. You know, so after Saratoga, you know, I worked in fast food, and I worked in Max and Irma's. I worked at a place called T.W. Lee's, you know, for a very short time. So I had a lot of different places. Worked at Joe Bologna's for a summer, you know. So there were a lot of things that I learned, you know, through the different places. Lexington Country Club, I was a chef's apprentice for a short time. So, you know, I had a lot of experience, did a lot of cooking on my own also. But this was a little bit different because this is commercial, you know, we're talking
Large
about
amounts
commercial smoking, you know, and so it was new to me, and so I had to be taught, you know, some of the things that we were doing that was different than what you would just do in your bullet smoker in the backyard.
Right.
So did the staff on hand there, were they able to teach you, or did you have to go somewhere to learn how to do it?
No, they were able to teach me.
Yeah.
You know, because the one thing that I knew about the business when I bought it is that we had a good template. You know, the food was good, the template was there, just things needed to be refined. And so that's, you know, we went in and I was kind of the, you know, fixer. I mean, Scott did a great job. Don't get me wrong. For somebody that's never been in the business, you know, he loved grilling and smoking. And he knew what he was doing, and he knew how to put together just the basics. But I knew that there were some finite things that needed to be tweaked, you know, to kind of get things moving. And that's I kind of ended up going in and fixing things, and just even the simplest things of putting in a sound system, just create atmosphere, you know, in the restaurant. So that's just kind of how things got started.
Does he stop in from time to time and see how it's doing?
It's like a mirage, you know. It's like I'll be standing at the counter and I'll see this guy walk in, and it's like, oh my God, I think that's Scott, you know.
Yeah.
So he gets his food. Last time I saw him, it's been probably about 2 years ago, but the last time I saw him, he was in, and he got some food, sat down at a table by himself. So I went over and sat with him for a little while, and we talked. And I was like, "Well, how is everything?" He's like, "Perfect." So I was like, "Okay, good."
That's awesome. He doesn't like regret selling it to you after seeing you're having some success. You mentioned earlier that you were in radio.
Yeah.
And then you bought this place. And so when did this place become your, like, this is my job, this is the only source of income I have?
It was not easy because, I would leave the restaurant, or I'd leave the radio station and go out to the restaurant. And so I'm showing up in, my suit and tie or whatever, owning a barbecue restaurant. It was kind of a weird deal.
Expediting some food and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You tuck the tie in the shirt and everything. It's like I'm back waiting tables.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was probably up until, I think it was 2014 maybe. So it's actually, no, I'm sorry, take that back, 2016. So I finally just let go of the reins of the radio station stuff and just focused on the restaurant full time. I had a good staff along the way, so that was always the good thing. It's like I had people I could depend on, so we could make sure that things were getting taken care of. But I was constantly on the phone, and so it got a little dicey there for a little while, and that's finally when I just had to hang up the radio stuff and okay, I got to do this full time.
So have y'all always been in the same location? It's Georgetown Road, isn't it?
Yeah, Georgetown Road, 4020 Georgetown Road, in front of the lovely Sunset Motel.
That's right.
So it's it's special and it's different, and I mean it's a quintessential roadside barbecue joint.
Right. Is that leased or owned?
Leased.
Okay.
Yeah, leased. We've talked about buying that property several times, and there's a lot that would go into that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because you've got the motel there and everything, and it's like, what do you do with that? And
yeah,
do you keep it? Do you turn it into a boutique or?
Oh, does the landlord own that piece of? Is it all the same parcel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it's harder to split and just deal with the consequences.
Random question: where did the name Red State come from?
Well, Scott was trying to figure out what to name the restaurant, and it was the midterm elections back in 2013. So this was in October, so he turned around and named it pretty quick. And so he and a buddy were watching some of the election, news that was on the TV, having a beer. And, of course, they bring up the electoral college map, or, the map of, like, the red states and blue states. Again, this was midterm, so it wasn't electoral. But he turned to his buddy and he said, "You ever notice how all the good barbecue comes from the red states?" And so it just kind of fit, because if you look, you had that line from Texas all the way across, and that made sense.
That's awesome. I never knew that.
Now, am I making this up, or is Kansas City, Missouri known for their barbecue, or no?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What color is their steak? I really don't know.
You know what? I'm not sure. I think they're purple. I don't know.
Yeah, they're a mix of the two. I love that. So when you got started, you obviously knew how to create advertising in some form or fashion, right? You helped radio stations. What did you kind of hang your hat on when you first started, or was it just capturing the same clients and making sure that they came back?
When I first took things over, radio kind of wasn't in the budget immediately, because when I took the business over, it was maybe about a $380,000 to $400,000 a year business, and so the budget really wasn't there for that kind of thing. And so we basically just bare bones, Facebook was a big part of that. We started to eke out some budget for that, and of course Facebook at that time did not cost as much as it does now.
That was the glory days back then.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
changed everything.
Yeah.
$10 you could reach 500,000 people.
That's right. Right. Yeah. So that was kind of the easy one. And then just, simple things like, developing, what we call half menus and those kinds of things that we stick in the bags, and, just really simple stuff, just kind of ground game kind of things.
Do you think it helped you already being in, like, kind of the advertising business to know what would work for you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You knew what wouldn't work budget-wise,
I mean, thank God, I'd had a certain level of success in the industry, in the radio industry, and so that helped tremendously. You do that for 15 years, and you see what works for people, and also the other thing is that you see businesses that are successful, and you see businesses that unfortunately fail. And so you see how that whole process kind of works, and you kind of know you want to try to stay out of those divots and stuff, and not get yourself caught in that. The next thing you know that you've lost your longevity, and you're putting a close sign on the door.
To go back to your past life, do you still see a big place for radio in advertising now, even though a lot of it's transitioned over to social media?
Oh no, certainly. Podcasts have a lot to do with that. One of our biggest vehicles is Kentucky Sports Radio.
That's where I've heard a lot about you.
Now we have the budget to be able to do that kind of stuff, and of course Matt and those guys do a great job. And of course I had the privy of seeing the numbers when I was there in the business. So, I would see things because I would deep dive the numbers. So you get those ratings numbers in, and you go and look at stuff, and I would see things that were crazy. So you'd look like, for instance, men that were 18 to 34, and you look at something that's called TSL, time spent listening, and I would also often joke with Matt and those guys and say, look, basically anybody that's 18 to 34 years old between 10 and noon, Monday through Friday, nobody's getting any work out of them because
they're listening to your show.
The time spent listening at that point, I don't know what it is now.
Oh, they're even more ridiculous now, I'm pretty sure.
But if you looked at it, and this was just radio because we didn't have the podcast stuff really at that time, but 18 to 34 years old, out of the 10 hours the show was on, they're listening 9 out of those 10 hours. So I knew the show, what it was capable of, and I knew that Matt had this, he had this parasocial relationship with his audience that people, they tuned in, they listened, and they had that relationship. And so I knew that when he spoke about products, people listened. And the thing is, you talk to a lot of those advertisers, and a lot of them have had success. That's why they stay with him.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing with them, from a outside looking in perspective, is it seems genuine. It seems authentic. They don't really stray from how they do things, right? Like they've built their whole company on the baseline that they've built over time. They haven't deviated from it and turned into different people.
I'm part of that demographic you mentioned, and I'm probably 9 or 10 hours a week, the same thing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. As he's wearing his Kentucky hat.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think with their phrase is providing sports coverage in the most ridiculous way possible. That was always a thing. So those guys have always done a really good job. And so when Matt speaks, people listen. And so we've always kind of used that. Don't do it as much as we used to, but we take our shots when we can. Focus on the barbecue holidays and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's cool that you can attribute a lot of your marketing success to that one single thing that's specific. So you all been in that same spot for a while. Do you ever think you'll try to open like another location, or do you have any more?
No.
No.
I have promised my staff no more projects, no more endeavors. We had a tap room up in Georgetown.
I thought you had something
for a minute.
else.
Yeah, and that unfortunately suffered from an explosion and basically incinerated the building.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's about all I can say about that.
Yeah.
So. And then we did open up a Red State location over in Cynthiana, Kentucky, and we thought that that thing would be a hit because we didn't really have any competition, but unfortunately, it just wasn't supported the way we had hoped it would be. So we ended up closing that at the end of 2018.
That's became kind of common. We've had a few people on here now that had tried to open multiple locations and just came back to their roots, and it was more successful for them just to stay in one place.
Right. Yeah, and that's what it's better to focus on that. It's like, okay, this is the ace in the hole, and so let's just focus on this and make sure that we will just continue to refine it. What I've always explained to my staff over the years is that it's always been an evolution, right? The restaurant business is never going to be perfect, okay? So if I'm sure as many restaurateurs you probably talk to, you probably figured it out, right? And it's just never, you can have like the most perfect service that you think you've got going, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens, and fountain machine goes down or what have you. Cook walks out the back door, I don't know.
Right.
But there's always something, and you just never know what to expect. But, for us, especially coming from a business, like I said, we were $380,000 to $400,000. We had 5 employees, and now we were up to 35 employees, and we're pushing towards 2 point something.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible growth.
But it takes a lot to develop that, and it's not like, you get this template where you've already got like manuals in place and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there that you can try to put all that together, but then you have to have the personnel to help execute that and be able to do all that. And it's like, and I'm only one person. So
it's still a new restaurant. At the end of the day, like the name can be, Red State Cynthiana or Red State Taproom.
Yeah.
It's an entirely new business from front to back. Like
Yeah.
beer, food. Do we have the same menu items? Do we take the stuff that we smoke in Lexington or in Georgetown Street and drive it up to like?
Oh, that was
It's just all of those logistical things.
Okay, this is a sore spot. Okay, so you've hit a sore spot here because what happened with Cynthiana? This is actually funny, sad at the same time. When we first were going into Cynthiana, I did an interview with the newspaper there, and it's a simple interview. I didn't think anything of it, and the reporter asked me, it's like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to start smoking on site immediately, or what are you going to do? And I said, well, our plan is to obviously smoke on site, but what we may have to do when we first start out is smoke some of the meats at the restaurant in Lexington and send it over to Cynthiana.
Oh no.
Are there like special rules for how to transport it or anything?
No,
okay.
because it would just like catering,
Yeah.
Because we would just hotbox that stuff up and off it goes, and plus that was only like a 30, maybe.
It's not that bad of a commute, yeah.
Plus also barbecue holds really well. That's
Right.
one thing that's great about that. It's the density and everything. But we opened up and we immediately started having people complaining it was on Facebook. Facebook was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But people were like, they don't even smoke their meats here. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, where is this coming from?
You're like, so we can keep up with the demand we hope for,
Yeah.
and then once we get to a point where we can do everything here, we're going to.
And the thing was, like months after we had gotten the smoker in place.
And you were smoking
we
everything
literally ended up not sending. I don't even think we sent anything over because we got a smoker in place. We got everything start going, and I kid you not, 6-8 months later, it would still come up.
You should just do a Facebook Live every day. Hey guys, we're out here at the smoker right in Cynthiana.
We would do stuff like that. We would, because I've got this great social media young lady that works for me. Her name's Kristen Shank. Love her to death. And she would come over and we would literally do videos where we would pull some ribs off the smoker, go into the kitchen, slice them up or whatever, plate them, and then follow that plate out to the dining room to try to get it across to people.
Like, hey.
The smoker's right here in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, still, and that just that one comment in that article chased me for.
That's so
almost an
annoying.
That's
entire
crazy
year.
how that sticks. I
Isn't
guess
that
probably
crazy?
smaller town newspaper, they're going to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So from the barbecue side with it, when you start cooking that, do you have to start some of it like the night before, or how does all that work?
Yeah, for us, it's a 24-hour process. I mean, it is, and it's almost all year long.
Well, if you're talking about brisket,
yeah, brisket and pork.
it's going to take you some time, right?
Yeah. So we will literally start. We'll start a load about 2:00 in the afternoon, and that'll be pork and brisket, and so that's going to go for about 15 hours, and then of course the pit master, whoever's first in, they come in, they pull that off, and get that wrapped up, and then start loading the next load, which will be for us it's ribs and chicken. So we want to get that ready for lunchtime. And then after that.
So what time in the morning is that?
It's usually probably about 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Shoo.
Right? And so once you get that, you're going to load your ribs and your chicken, and you're going to go about 3.5 hours with that. And then you've got a little bit of time in between. So you've got your lunch ribs and your chicken ready to go. So maybe you do some wings, whatever else, if we're doing like smoked prime, things of that nature. So then, and of course, you get right back to 2:00 and it starts all over again.
So let's continue the barbecue talk, since that's one of my favorite things. You always hear about different styles of barbecue, like different regions. What would you consider yours?
Well, I'd say at the heart, we're Texas, with the brisket, and then the dry rub and low and slow. Scott, the original owner, he's a Texan. He went to Texas A&M. So that's kind of us at the heart. But then, of course, where we're in Kentucky, and so it's a little bit more regional. So you've got the pork, and you've got the chicken, and you got the ribs and stuff like that. So, because if you go over to Carolina, it's going to be more pork and stuff like that. But then we also have the sauces. So obviously we'd love for the meat to stand on its own and not have to use any sauce. But at the same time, we've got 6 regional sauces, and then we've got the one hot sauce.
Okay.
Did you all develop all of those flavors just over time?
Scott, when he started it out, he had a Memphis sweet, a Texas spicy, and at that time it was called Carolina mustard. So when I took it over about a year or so later, we started developing others, and so we had to have a Kentucky. So we did a bourbon-based, which we still to this day use 4-year-old Jim Beam, and so that's our Kentucky small batch, which is very popular. And then my wife, who her family is from Carolina, she did the North Carolina vinegar, which is kind of a spicy vinegar-based sauce. And then after that, we one that I wanted was it was an Alabama white sauce.
Oh yeah.
So we call that, because we're close to the horse park and we're horse country and stuff like that. So we just kind of had fun with the name, and it's actually called Alabama Show Horse.
Nice.
But also it has horseradish in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we've gone regional, and we changed the name to the Carolina mustard because it's actually a South Carolina, right? So the South Carolinians, they like more of a mustard base. So those are the base sauces, and then of course we have the 7th sauce, which is called Taproom Fire, and that came from the Taproom Fire. And it's like a buddy of mine said, "Hey, you ought to come up with a hot sauce," because he loved hot sauces. He said, "We need to just come up with something to name it after the tap room." I said, "Well, we'll just call it Taproom Fire."
That's awesome.
And so, so we ran with that, and so now we've got those sauces. 2 of the sauces, Memphis Sweet and Kentucky Small Batch, are in about 90 Kroger locations throughout the state.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's part of the Kentucky Proud program, so they're in the Kentucky Proud section. And then all of the sauces are beer cheeses. What else? We've got our sausages. Those are in several of the liquor barns. So we've got Lexington and also Danville and some of the places in Louisville.
Nice.
Yeah.
So which one of the sauces is your go-to?
Oh, man.
Are you willing to say?
It's really hard because, each of them can have their different uses, so some things taste better with other things, and everybody's palate.
Like chicken and pork, or
right? Yeah. So like for instance, I like the South Carolina mustard with our ribs, which I think our ribs are fantastic on their own. But if I want a little extra flavor, I'll put that with that. The Alabama white sauce with our double smoked brisket, which is kind of like our version of burnt ends.
Ooh, I love those.
Or the just the regular brisket, because that horseradish and that mayonnaise-based sauce with the meat is fantastic. So, and then of course, if you want a great go-to, really simple one is just like a pork sandwich, and we call this all the way, which you add the coleslaw on top of the sandwich, and then Memphis Sweet on top of that.
I could go for some of that right now.
Yeah,
I think.
no. I just ate lunch, and I'm sitting here thinking about more food.
So what's the day-to-day look like for you specifically now with the business?
Basically, I'm just kind of guiding the ship, and so I work on a lot of marketing stuff, because that's one of my fortes. But otherwise, it's just kind of overseeing everything and just making sure that, my managers are taking care of everything they're supposed to. I still do the schedule on a weekly basis because I still like doing that. And plus also, it kind of helps, in terms of managing labor and those types of things. And then, of course, making sure that, you have strong people in the right places. The meat station's obviously very important, so you want to have the right people on that. And if, of course, you've got new people, you've got to be able to make sure that, they're with a strong person, or a strong team, especially if they're still learning the ropes and trying to figure everything out.
Nice. What is your favorite part about owning that business?
Wow. there's a lot of different parts. I enjoy the staff, because I'm 53 years old now, and so a lot of the staff, the majority of them are all younger than me. So it's kind of nice to go in and kind of joke around with these kids and stuff and have a good time and talk about stuff. That's a great part of it. The customers, obviously, that's fantastic. And, of course, we have that unusual place where, the restaurant sits out there close to I-75, and it's close to the Kentucky Horse Park. So we see people from Canada all the way down to Florida. We've had people from all 50 states, which has been documented.
That's awesome.
And but then if you look at the walls, because of course the writing's all over the place, you'll see China, you'll see Australia. We've had people from New Zealand, Singapore, Burma, you name it, and they've just from all over the world. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So that's one of the really neat things about it, because there's just really no other place like it.
That's got to feel really good, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of that's just kind of taken on a life of its own. It's not like we kind of, it was nothing that we really kind of cultivated. We had one wall in the back near the bathroom where, we had like, Kenny Skywalker and some other local dignitaries like Ed Lane, who's a former, the late Urban County Councilman, and of course the Lane Report and everything.
Yeah.
He had signed the wall. He was one of our regulars. And then somewhere about 2014, 2015, all of a sudden people started asking for markers. And the next thing I know, that back area going back from the bathroom along that wall where the booths are, that all started to fill up. And then the next thing you know, the rest of the restaurant, just the whole thing, just it just got taken over. And we've had to repaint sometimes because of what people will put up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, you got to be careful with that.
There's always that one dude that ruins everything.
Oh gosh.
It's always cool though when you see people do that all over just see what, I don't know, just adds a cool ambiance in there, I guess.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of painting the bathrooms.
I bet.
Yeah. they have a little more creative freedom in the bathroom, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the artistic room.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's it's more foul than artistic,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Do you get tired of eating barbecue?
I don't take any home to my wife.
Yeah.
So
I'd say that ship sailed a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got to go. Just like, good.
More pork.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but no. So we, I still enjoy it. It's like I don't eat it too much. Because my wife's a great cook, and so she keeps me fed really well.
We have one person that's going to listen 30 minutes deep. Yeah. Good. You just keep listening. You'll hear it.
Yeah.
You got your shout out on there.
Yes, we're having tarragon chicken tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, she's a fantastic cook. But in terms of the restaurant, it's like the ribs, because I love the ribs, and so I'll go in and say, hey, slice me off a couple bones there.
Yeah.
But then also just taste testing and checking stuff out, and going down the line with a spoon or a fork and checking stuff out and making sure all your sides are tasting right and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Which you're coaching your team to do all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. And of course, holidays, because the family comes, my daughters come into town and stuff, and the grandchildren, and so we'll have requests for mac and cheese, and that kind of stuff. And of course, at Thanksgiving we smoke phenomenal turkeys, and so that's usually that's going to be the centerpiece.
I'm about to have you do that for me when you're.
We're driving out to Red State soon.
I remember my question.
I'm proud of you.
You're gonna have to shut up for a second while I remember it. Do you do any competitions?
No. Because and part of the reason is we're just so busy.
Yeah.
We stay so busy, and so it makes it really difficult. So our dance card stays full. Like this past weekend, we did a 600-person wedding at the horse park. And so, it's
That's a lot.
Crap.
It's insane. Is he gonna make it?
I can't imagine 600 people.
Yeah. I think the biggest we've ever done was like 1,500, and that was at Southland Christian Church out at Richmond Road. Yeah.
How long would that take to prep for?
We're blessed now because we've got 4 smokers. So we started out with just one when I bought the place, But so we've got 4 now, and so it's just you're just smoking a ton of meat, and you're bringing extra people in to get everything prepped up, and it takes a while. It takes a while to get all that ready to go. So
I bet.
yeah,
1,500
yeah.
people.
Don't you do like 2 pounds a person, or is that?
Pound and a half?
Typically, say if you're going to say a pound of meat, that's going to feed 3 to 4 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just depends on how much they eat.
That was way high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of that prep time, I've got a wonderful prep crew, and they typically will come in at about 4 a.m. in the morning on a regular basis. But if it's something bigger, there's a good chance they're going to pull an all-nighter, and I love them to death. But
Yeah.
they're phenomenal.
Well, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I guess we do have one more question we could ask. Is we could figure out if he would have any advice for an entrepreneur that's looking to start a business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of things, man. But I besides just doing the barbecue, I think the thing is I was always, educating myself about business in general. Self-motivating. You have to have this innate desire to want to do something like this, and so it's you get that chance and you jump at it. You just got to go for it. And I had a buddy of mine before I bought the restaurant. He was just like, just do it, man. Just go. And so you got to go in without you got to try to put your fear aside as much as possible, and just go for it. And it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And so, you're babysitting the thing, and you're trying to just take care of it as best as possible and get it through that first, the first 5 years. It's like I was blessed because Scott already had a good template, and all I had to do was refine that. So I think it's just, it's a matter of just staying with it. Making sure you've got a good accountant, making sure that you're watching your dollars, because you don't want to overspend, and then also at the same time you have to understand that everything's relative. So it's just a lot to take on, but I think when you get down to it, my wife and I were actually having a conversation about this the other night. It was basically talking about opportunity and challenge and all those different things. And so it was always about preparedness, so it's like you're always preparing. It's like when I worked in radio, I was the guy that went in at 7:30 in the morning and I left at 7:30 at night, so it was that work ethic and preparation, interacting with the customers, like I said, understanding like what was successful and seeing the people that were successful and the people that weren't, but that preparation and all that, it all just kind of came together, and so it all mattered. So everything that you're doing leading up to that, it's important. And so preparation meets opportunity, and so that's where the rubber hit the road for me, and I got that opportunity, and the price was right, and I reached out and grabbed it.
Love it. I couldn't agree more.
Heck yeah. On to the 6 burning questions. We used to do 5. Now we do 6. So what is one thing when you were starting your business that you would change or do differently?
Goodness. Wow, that's a good question. I think, probably having a better system, watching the dollars coming into the building.
Accounting.
Coming into into the business, because theft was an issue.
Oh, really?
Quite often, and sometimes it's like things that you didn't even think about. And so, and sometimes it could be as simple as watching a server on camera, sell somebody a T-shirt, and the person pays cash, and
They pocket the
the
cash.
cash never makes it into the drawer. So
Oldest trick in the book.
right?
Jeez.
But yeah, it's like, damn, he was a good guy.
I thought he was a good guy.
Right? Yeah. And so there's things like that. It's like if I could do that differently, it's like probably keep a better eye on that, because it's like taking money out of my pocket, that's taking, money out of other people's pockets.
If this place doesn't continue to run, he doesn't get a job,
Right. Well, and it
won't
all
have somebody to work.
matters. And it all matters because, it's like the people that are performing really well, you want to be able to give them raises and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, you got sometimes a couple people stealing from you, and it's like you're looking at the numbers trying to figure what the hell's going on, and it's like I'm sorry, man, we can't give you a raise right now. So, so that stuff does matter.
What is your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby?
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah. Outside of work, do you have one?
Not really. I mean, that's really all it's been, so, and my wife, we have this conversation, and she explains to people that I pretty much will work, all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because I enjoy it. I love what I do. So, there's a very good chance, on Saturday and Sunday, you're going to find me at the office also, so working on stuff and, looking at numbers, crunching numbers, projecting, just all kinds of stuff like that. So we, trying to keep track of everything and make sure that just that we're staying on, keeping our eye on the ball, and so that's basically what it is. It's, I mean, I could play the ponies, I guess, but
well, it sounds like you don't mind being at work, so it must not feel like work, if you're going back to it that much.
Exactly. I mean, there are going to be situations and stuff like that. It's like, okay, this is stressful, but that's part of the territory, so you just have to deal with it, and you just kind of have to find a way to kind of overcome those obstacles.
Nice. Question number 3. This might be a tough one for you. What's your favorite local restaurant?
Ludaville.
Where? What is it?
Ludaville.
What is that?
It's a French restaurant. It's down on Limestone.
I had that feeling that it was going to be a French one.
Huh.
After you said that, I was like, if I didn't understand it and he said it twice and I didn't understand it the second time,
Yeah,
that's why I didn't understand it.
That's that is the one that my wife and I. That's our go-to.
What would I eat there if I went?
Oh goodness.
I
Well,
don't have chicken nuggets, so.
Ask me what I had for dinner last night.
Oh, my
oh,
gosh.
chicken nuggets. But just going off the appetizer meal, or I guess the appetizer menu first. Beef Carpaccio. If you like pate, I've always loved the pate there. So, it just seems like we can really never go wrong with anything that we get down there. And because of the different chefs that he has comes in, it's like they'll have a term of a chef being there, and then somebody will come on and move through and move on or whatever. So the menu does change quite often.
Do they have barbecue?
No.
No French barbecue, son.
No barbecue. It's like, but you'll find the coq au vin and stuff like that. That's still on the menu, but a lot of the stuff does change. Now I will say the mussels.
No, I'm out on that.
Yeah, I don't know
Can't
why he
do
doesn't.
it.
He doesn't
Really?
like mussels.
No.
Oh yeah. So
I had some in Montana or Wyoming not that long ago, and it was good, but I'm not going to get them again.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh God, love them. And the
I
great thing
can't
is,
believe you don't like them.
Yeah.
so yeah, if you like mussels, you need to go to Ludaville, because the thing is, we're not talking like tiny mussels.
Oh, we're talking about the big ones.
He's getting the big ones, and of course the they have Diablo, and it's a couple different ones. The one of my favorite is blue cheese. It's not on the menu anymore, but they do a blue cheese.
Gosh.
And it is. So that's kind of off menu. I should.
So now I have to go there. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't. But
They're gonna be pissed at you.
yeah.
Damn it. We try to put blue cheese in these things.
I didn't say that.
What's your favorite musical artist that no one would expect you to listen to?
Oh my goodness. Wow. That wow.
It's Britney Spears for us too. It's fine. It's fine.
Free Britney.
Right.
She's free now. Conservatorship's over, man.
Yeah. Oh gosh, man, that's kind of a tough one. I don't know. Maybe I'm too. I don't know. Too
It can
easy.
just hit us with something. You might surprise us. Who knows?
Adele.
Huh,
Adele.
Yeah, that's perfect for that
Adele's
question.
she's so good. Like, if anyone judges a dude for listening to Adele, like,
Well, okay. I will say this, and my wife gets a kick out of this. But I I guess I purchased one of her albums, or I was listening to one of her songs, and I thought it was so good I purchased the rest of the albums. It was like, I just went nuts. It was like, I lost my mind.
Well, you have you believe that the rest of our stuff is going to be pretty good. It is good.
Well, I don't know. I still haven't listened to all of them. It's probably a bad thing.
I'm still on song number 1. What's your, if you do read, what's your favorite business book?
Business book. Oh, goodness.
It could be like a self-help or a podcast or.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Wow. You know what? For my business, for the industry that I'm in, this might be kind of a little bit off the beaten path in a sense, but Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Nightmares.
So I have never really watched much of any of his stuff, but everybody that does loves him to death. I guess I need to get into that.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
You can just tell he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah. And I would recommend doing the audio version of Kitchen Nightmares because he does the read himself.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, that's dope.
And then, of course, there's a follow-up book to that, and I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but it kind of comes along and it tidies up a few things from the first book.
Nice.
That he kind of
Let slip through the cracks.
He had to tidy up, but yeah, no, it's a phenomenal book, and it's a great insight into the industry, into the restaurant industry, and it just kind of gives you just like the grittiness and what it can sometimes be like, the way that people in the restaurant industry communicate. But I always find that fascinating. I've probably listened to that thing a dozen times.
That's so awesome. Do you cook at all? Like outside of smoking meat?
I did for a while, and what I would do is I would tinker, right? So, I'd get some ideas about things that maybe we would want to try on a special menu or something or run as a special. And so I would go in and, maybe we were doing like a shrimp po' boy, or there's something that comes out of the Northeast and it's beef on weck, right? And so I basically came up with a little version of that, but it was like wrapped in a tortilla and deep fried, beer battered and deep fried and stuff like that. So
what is beef on weck?
I'm glad you
so
asked.
basically it's a beef sandwich, but
Yeah.
then you have like the bun. Typically for a beef on weck, it's going to have like caraway seed on it and stuff so, and then you get the sauce and everything. But it's very popular in the Northeast, and so
I'm going to Maine next month. Will they have it there?
I don't know about Maine.
Oh, okay.
Don't know about Maine, and so,
Yeah.
but so we kind of toyed around with stuff like that, and so I would go into the kitchen and do that kind of stuff, or I remember one time because I love fettuccine Alfredo, and so I took our mac and cheese and our pulled chicken,
Oh my gosh.
and basically, put an Alfredo sauce in with that mac and cheese.
Sounds amazing.
and the pulled chicken, and that so that was the kind of stuff that I kind of played with, and pizzas and all kinds of stuff like that.
Not to hype up any of your competitors, but somebody around here has a barbecue egg roll that's really good. You all should try the egg roll thing. Oh shoot! Did I say somebody I wasn't supposed to?
Apparently, he doesn't do any research.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
We've had one for. It actually started the tap.
I probably haven't been since COVID, but has it been before that?
Oh, we've had it for a while.
Oh man.
We're coming by. Don't.
Yeah.
So
We'll be bugging you here soon. Don't
yeah,
worry.
it's okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna come try that. So
Yeah, because ours.
maybe it's yours that I've had.
You know what you should really try? Trust me, you're gonna love it. It's a groundbreaking idea here.
Yeah. So, but no, we that actually started at the Taproom. We started doing those there, and they were so popular, and we would run them occasionally at the restaurant on Georgetown Road, and people just kept asking, and finally it was like, okay, let's just add it to the appetizer menu. And so it's been on there for a few years now, and it's just an absolute hit.
Yeah.
Absolute hit.
See, I have good ideas.
Yeah,
Look at me.
I'm definitely gonna look at me.
I would, honestly, we would do different versions of it, but our kitchen is like, it's like submarine cooking almost.
I'm sure
so
it's packed with all the sides and
well,
stuff too.
Yeah, and it's you're in a tiny little space, and the building that was built in the mid '40s, it wasn't certainly not suitable
for a restaurant.
Well, for the amount of stuff that we're pumping out at this point, I mean, it's
Right.
just insane.
What kind of smokers do you use? Is it like wood or charcoal, or how is it?
If he told you, he'd have to kill you.
Oh, is that another
No,
secret?
no,
I'm
I'm
really
kid- I'm
bad at
kidding.
asking too
I
many
don't know. I don't
industry
know.
secrets.
They're commercial smokers.
Yeah.
And we use hickory. So, but they're beasts.
Yeah.
And so they're a little bit different, you know, but it's still extremely labor intensive, you know. So my guys work really, really hard out there, and of course it's nonstop. So
Yeah.
we get into busy season, and we're cooking, you know, we're smoking thousands of pounds of meat, you know, a day. So you're talking about 4 smokers that are loaded
Golly.
and rolling, you know, those hold about 350 pounds worth of meat at any given time. So you're talking about 4 of those, 24 hours, and it's something else, man.
That's a lot.
That's a process.
Oh, I got the last one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got this. You got this.
So what is a guilty pleasure of yours? Whether that be like a cheesy TV show you watch or some weird hobby? Or you said your hobby was working.
Yeah. Guilty pleasure. My goodness.
Smoking cigars, bourbon.
Wow, it is raining really hard if anybody hears that.
You can hear that on the microphone.
So to give you some
It's
examples,
picking
like
up a little bit of it.
Matt takes knitting classes on Wednesday nights.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe if you want to get into that, you can meet him there sometime.
Yeah. My hand's already showing the.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. No, you know, I mean, in terms of anything outside the norm, it's like, you know, I do like to play the pony some, you know, just to see, like, try my hand at that. That's something that's always kind of
Offer me some
interesting a little
tips because I never win. So.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at a field of horses and you're trying to do the research to see what you know about them, and if you can't find any information, don't bet on that horse.
My best luck has been when I asked like the little kids in line at Keeneland, they'd pick a horse for me, and then I bet that one.
Oh, my youngest.
And that one usually wins.
Yeah, no, we took my youngest out. It was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, but we took her out, and
Let her pick 'em?
She picked like 5 or 6 winners. I was like, I'm bringing him with me, honey.
Beginner's luck.
My
Yeah.
dad hits the trifecta like every year at the Derby.
Oh, it's obnoxious.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been a blast. Glad we got to
good.
meet you.
It's been fun. I've learned a lot. I'll
I-
be there soon.
Do I get the job?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know.
I'm
What
going
you
to come
applied
try
for,
your
but you
egg
got it.
roll. So, if I
Okay.
haven't already.
Yeah. Well, the egg rolls, you know, man, because I'm a really big fan of our soft pretzels and beer cheese.
I can do
Oh,
that
gosh.
too.
So I make the beer cheese. So
We'll just come
I've
and
got-
have like a sample
Well,
platter.
I take that back. We've got our prep team that makes the beer cheese. I make the beer cheese for the tubs that we sell.
Okay.
So
So I should try yours.
I think that you could try either one of them.
Yeah.
It'd be just fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. But that beer cheese and pretzels, that's a big fan favorite. The wings, people love those because I'll tell you what we do with these. We will smoke these. Smoke the wings almost until they're finished. Right. So for lack of a better term, al dente, which is a pasta term, right? But so you'll smoke those to a point, and then what we'll do is we'll flash fry them to order. So they literally will go into the fryer for maybe like 30 seconds.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
And yeah, it's unbelievable. And so, and of course through, you know, the inflationary things that we've been seeing when people are having trouble getting the wings and stuff like that, we have been blessed to be able to keep getting the wings that we get. We pay a little bit more for them, but we're willing to take that hit because the customers love them.
Yeah, wings is probably some of my favorite food.
All right. We're going soon.
Yeah.
And you can get them, like we've got a great buffalo sauce because, you know, it's got a smoky flavor to it. But then you have the choice of using any of the other sauces on those wings. So if so once they're smoked, flash fry in order, and then you can toss them in the Carolina mustard or whatever you want to do.
Sounds fantastic.
Be there soon.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I'm Matt.
This is Shay, and this is the Building Small Business Podcast.
See you guys.